So just to be clear, Ryan doesn't think that PT had any desire to do the vagabite.
No.
But you're not saying his reason was a lie.
No.
You just feel like he would have came up with another excuse had that reason not come up.
I just don't believe, and it's not a knock on Pete at all. It's just I don't associate that type of day being something he would want to do. It's
All
not
day
something
drinking.
I would want to. It's not just that. It's a lot of people, a lot of movement, a lot of chaos, a long day up and through Atlantic City on a bike. There's a lot of factors.
So you feel that even though you believe his story,
yes,
you feel that if that story didn't come up, he would have came up with a real BS.
I would say he would find another way out, or he would have went and been, not happy the entire way heading there. Once he was there, he'd be happy. I'm not saying he'd be literally miserable, but he'd be in his head like, why did I commit to this?
Pete Thompson, what say you?
Thoughts?
I know this, guys. Look, Elizabethtown says hello. I did go and see my quote-unquote mother-in-law, if you will. Happy wife, happy life,
Yep.
Yes, we did. That was my reason for not being able to be a vagabond.
Right, and which I said was, my point was, in the history of all the PT, bizarre excuses, made-up stories, you've never actually used Susan's mother as a way out of something. So that's why I believed you.
Right. It's legitimate. I mean, it
I'm
happened.
not questioning the legitimacy of this excuse.
Now,
Ryan
I cannot tell a lie. Ryan is correct. I was not looking forward to getting on a bike. The beer drinking part, I'm all about. The getting on the bike part, I mean, come on, look at the PT. It's just,
Right now, when I asked you
And
originally to do it, you seemed excited about the opportunity.
Opportunity.
You presented it in a very MG way. They'll provide you a bike. I don't think the shirt will fit, but what do you say? And I said yes. I said yes initially, and my lovely lady said, "What are you, nuts? That's the day we're going up to Elizabethtown."
Right. So the question now becomes, if in fact Susan's mother was not a factor here, would you have come up with a PT-esque lame excuse to get out of it?
Get out of it? No. I might have come up with a PT like, hey, looks like they're running out of bikes here, guys. Maybe I'll just have to stay here and support the cause. I might have had to spin it a little.
I might have to stay here and support the cause.
They're running out of bikes here.
Not support the cause at all.
Yeah. There's 300 people there. I think I'll just hang out here for the rest of the day. Well, you missed a beautiful day.
I know it was a beautiful day. I worked that morning. I talked to you on the radio.
Yeah, I know, and I told Ryan, I knew that your story was legit, and I just kept twisting it, and you were getting angry.
Well, you do like to poke bear, and hey, look, there's been some PTBS in the past, but this was legit, and my girlfriend thanks you. You're in her good graces.
Well, that's good, because I figured that if she was listening to my hit on the radio, that she would have been like, that Mike Gill's such a jerk.
No, she wasn't listening. She was working, and then we had plans to blow this popsicle stand, as they say, and get out to Pennsylvania. So
all right.
Well, all went well.
You missed a nice day, and it was for a good cause. And
did your colleague remember that he rode? You said there was somebody last year that didn't even remember he did the ride because he had a little too much.
Well, I told you, he said that it'll be a fun time, and I said, yeah, I rode with you last year, and he didn't remember. But he was actually very well behaved this year.
Oh, that's good.
Yes,
that's good.
There was a couple people who were overserved. I believe one gentleman fell off of his bike, but other than that,
a gentleman was he injured?
I think he was, actually. I think he was.
That's not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had fun. Anyway.
How do you explain that at work?
Right. Hey, I fell on a
bicycle accident.
Yeah. Well, we had a police escort, so, I mean, he got good taken care of.
I fell, but it was for a good cause.
Right. Yeah. They do give us a police escort, which is kind of interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, they clear out the boardwalk for us. It's a beautiful ride down the world-famous Atlantic City boardwalk, and, it's a great day. Everybody
likes to think they know how to ride a bike. I mean, that's the figure of speech, right? It's just like riding a bike.
Yep.
And,
Well, I got to be honest, PT. I haven't ridden a bike since last year, and, I didn't have any problem getting up there. And I'll tell you, my legs were in some trouble when I got off that bike at the first stop.
I bet. You're a little rubbery.
Yeah, they were, but they got back in. I was like, after that, I was all right. I was okay, and I was in.
Were you like a deer being born or like a horse first getting up?
Well, I don't know, but I never had that feeling of the horse just first getting up. But I did have a Lord Hobo Glorious at one of the stops, and that put me right back on track.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's all you need.
Sounds like it was a good cause. Now, Ryan, are you and I committing to next year already? Are we doing this in September of 19 for 2020?
What? Why would you even pose that question? You're
because
just getting
you
us
were
in
so
trouble.
Dubious that I didn't want to ride.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking, like, if I'm going down and I'm getting roped into riding next year, well, so are you.
I'm not committing to that yet.
No,
I don't
he
know
told me the night
dinner.
before he was going, and then no show.
I said I would like to go and that I should be able to do it.
No call, no show, PT.
You know what I said.
At least the PT called you back immediately when I knew that I was going to.
You did. You called back frantically. Actually, you were like, I didn't get a hey man, I'm not going to make it. Like, sorry. I got the night before. Yeah, I'd like to do it. Then the next day, nothing until like, hey, I think I'm going to come out and meet you. I was like, dude, the thing ended at 5. Like, we've been done for a couple of hours.
No, I said, are you still there? Because I know you that you would maybe still be out. I wasn't trying to meet up for that. I was just letting you know.
I was like, no, the bike ride ended around 5. It's like 7 now. I'm home.
It was like 5 o'clock.
All right, Peter.
Yes.
Disappointment feel on the Eagles game. Where's your level of like disappointment, like the way they played, or they had a lot of injuries? You should expect that. Like you're that fan that everybody wants to kind of hear on like what's the right way to feel about that game.
I was definitely disappointed. I mean, how could you not? Because in spite of all the injuries that they had, and in spite of all the obstacles that they had in front of them, and again, another slow start, and guys are dropping like flies. I mean, I saw that blue medical tent go up way more often than I'd ever like to see, but they still had a chance to win the football game, and they quite frankly could have won the football game, especially Nelson Aguilar and that ball that went through his hands. That was 6, man. That was absolutely 6, and he knew it, and Carson Wentz knew it. Now, they went back to him, and he did extend the game, but then they come up a foot short. For Zach Ertz after the game say, this is on me. No way, dude. You did everything humanly possible to try and win the football game. You were the one tight end that was out there. But, I mean, that's the thing is like so much win askew so quickly, so fast that I'm disappointed. And at the same grain, I say, well, you generally don't go, unless you're the 72 Dolphins, you don't go 16-0. So, yeah, I'm frustrated they didn't win the game. Plus, it was a late night for a school night, and I had to get my rear end.
You were
in
tweeting
bed,
up a storm, though. I was like, the PT's still awake.
Well, how could you not be? I mean, there was things to tweet about. That's the thing is that, in spite of themselves, they almost won the football game in spite of all the injuries. And you know what? How could you not tweet, look, that Jim Schwartz never blitzes, right? And there was Jim Schwartz saying, you know what? There's nobody left on the offense. We only have one running. We have one tight end. They're barely being able to put points up. We're going to go after this guy, and we're going to blitz the hell out of him. And that's what they did. And unfortunately, there was one blitz too many. I mean, on that Jake Matthews play, look, that's what you do to a blitz. The screen can neutralize a blitz where you kind of suck them all in, and boom, then you hit the home run play. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, that was one of my tweets. NBC cameras catch Jim Schwartz saying the word that rhymes with truck. Unbelievable pancake block by Jake Matthews there to spring Julio Jones.
So how are you looking at it as far as, okay, they're 1-1 now. I look at it as they could have stole the game in Atlanta with everything that was going on. But are you concerned moving forward? Do you think Wentz took a beating? Do you think the run game is a mess? How are you looking at this team now through 2 games?
My biggest concern is probably in the secondary, Ryan. I mean, I thought that Ronald Darby was awful, and I know he did make one redeeming play, and you gotta tip your cap to one good play if you're gonna rip him the whole time. But
it was a can of corn.
I think Ronald Darby's been awful, and here's Jim Schwartz. I'm looking at the transcript today. I think he has all his speed back. Dude, what Ronald Darby are you watching? I saw the one that was getting beat every time. There was a period of time there where they went for the home run ball 2 or 3 times going left to right, and finally they connected. And every time it seemed like, there's no doubt. They said it on the broadcast. They're going after Darby. The same broadcast that, by the way, Chris Collinsworth said, "Oh, Darby's their best player." I'm thinking, what the heck game are you watching? This guy's getting burnt.
He is just 10 months removed of major knee surgery.
I get that, and that's fine. Same thing with, Fletcher Cox is not 100% the Fletcher Cox that we thought we were going to get. So what's my level of concern? I would put it at like a 4 or 5, because here's the thing, and I heard you guys talking earlier, when you laid out, and that was very good, Mike. I heard who's in, who's out when I was on my way home with you and Moshe and Ryan, and I was listening along and kind of pretending who I thought was in and out. And what I did think, too, was, if you look at the Cowboys schedule and you look at the Eagles schedule is a heck of a lot more difficult than what the Cowboys have, like Little Sisters of the Poor, Immaculata We Stink. And, basically the teams they're playing are like, just give them the win.
All right, PT. Well, this week they got the Lions coming in. Now, the Lions, they went to Arizona and tied, and they were up big in that game. They could very well be 2-0, and maybe we would be thinking about this team a little differently, but they took care of business against Jacksonville. Who'd they play last week? Detroit played the Chargers, a good Chargers team last week. So should we be on higher alert this week with Detroit coming to town?
Look, they're not the Lions of just bring them. They're not the blowout Lions, but I look at it like this: the Eagles are a different team at home. It may take them a little bit longer to, and if the slow start continues, you're going to hear the boo birds early, especially if the Lions go up early. But I don't see the Eagles losing this game. The only thing that could cost them, they had everything that could have gone wrong went wrong in Atlanta, and they still almost won. So the Lions aren't the team that worries me. There's other teams, and if they can get the guys healthy too.
So Mike Groh today, PT, I don't know if you heard us talking about it or saw it anywhere on your end, but he said when talking about Sanders that he wanted to see him put his foot into the ground and just go north. And that's what a lot of us were talking about yesterday, recapping the game, was he was bouncing outside. He didn't just want to pick his spots and run north and south. What are your thoughts on that comment and really just the lack of time that Jordan Howard has seen?
From when I was 7, sitting next to my dad in the seats at the vet, one of my dad's constant go-to things when he was pissed off at the Eagles was north to south, enough of this east to west bull bleep, right? He would say, and that resonated with a young Peter Thompson. Okay. So yeah, I think that Miles Sanders is getting an education real quick that, hey, these little cut moves, these little side-to-side moves that worked at Penn State do not work in the NFL. Now, what they're reasoning for why Jordan Howard hasn't been around, that baffles me. The first game they said that it was because the plays for Darren Sproles were working. So this game, and I even tweeted that. Gill said I was tweeting up a storm. I was. And one of the things that I tweeted about was I said it's baffling that minus Deshaun and Alshon that they continue to try and throw the football. Why don't they run the ball? And then, of course, they sit there and shoot themselves in the foot where Corey Clement drops the football to start the third quarter. That's the thing, too. You could sit here and bang the drum and yell and hoot and holler all you want, but then if they can't execute, which they did not execute, right? I wanted to see them run, but not only did I not see it, but when they did try and run, they weren't effective at it.
He's the host of the Pete Thompson Show every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN, 8 to 10 Saturday mornings, the Pete Thompson Show right here. All right, Peter, so we got a lot of injuries this week, though. Alshon looks like he could miss 2. Deshaun Jackson looks like he could be out a couple. Timmy Jernigan looks like he's going to be out a couple of weeks. So, is it one of those things where, a couple of years ago they had all those injuries and they kept next man up was the thing. Can you do that again?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm looking at this D-Jack's out 2 weeks with the abdominal strain. The PP is in such good shape that he strained his abdomen one time sneezing. That legitimately happened.
Wow.
That's a painful thing right there.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I violently sneezed, and because I'm in such a round shape that I pulled my. But no, I'm not taking the top off of defense, or I'm not busting the lid open. I mean, that's the biggest thing too. You saw Deshaun Jackson and what he could be in Game 1. God, don't go on the shelf now for 2 or 3 weeks. You got Lions, Packers. I'm not that worried about the Jets, but the Vikings, Cowboys. The Bills are 2-0, although I'm not buying into them yet, and I'm not putting them in like you guys. We're also not putting them in. Look, do the injuries scare me? Absolutely. And that's the thing is you say next man up, but who's the next man going to be, right?
Yeah, what if there's no next man?
Well,
they said
maybe
today that Nelson Aguilar was the next wide receiver had they lost another guy.
Sheesh.
No, say it again.
They said that Darren Sproles was the next wideout. Like if they lost another guy,
receiver,
he would have been the next wideout to run, to be, running those plays.
Well, and I mean, look, Darren Sproles isn't tall enough to be a wide receiver, but he certainly has no problem catching the football. I mean, it's hard for me to fault Aguilar because he basically had a pretty good game. It's just you tend to remember the one that he missed. And
yeah, no doubt.
He missed.
So what ticks you off?
The Eagles shot themselves in the foot. Look, Gill, you know as better as anybody. They talked all week. They had it all game planned, all schemed up that they were going to go 2 tight ends, right? They were going to go 12 personnel, right? That was their whole game plan. And boom, Goddard can't play, and all of a sudden, and of course they released, what was that, What was the guy's name? Hicks that they got rid of beforehand, or they only left themselves with one tight end. You handicapped yourself.
Yeah. All right. Corey Dickerson is placed on the 60-day DL, fractured his foot. So, Pete Thompson, this guy, 304, 12 homers in 78 games this season, not all with the Phillies. His number with the Phillies, 293, like 9 homers. I mean, he's had a really good run here. But how do the Phillies bring him back? Does the PT bring back Corey D?
It's funny. We had this discussion on the Pete Thompson show. Hunter Brody and I did because his numbers were so good. I thought Charlie whispered the right things in his ear. When he came over, he had done everything right, but his contract was up, and they have Jay Bruce still there. Did you bring him back? I would have said if he was able to finish out the season and have the numbers stay strong, absolutely you bring him back. Now I think you got to sit there and think about, how bad is this fracture going to be and how long is it going to take to heal? So I think you got to reevaluate, quite frankly.
Well, I don't know about the injury being the reason of it. I mean, they got McCutchen coming back. They got Jay Bruce signed. You're going to have Hastley. You're going to have Quinn. I mean, there's no room for this guy, really. And, what if the
By the way, nobody's talked about what they're going to do with Odubel Herrera.
I was just going to bring back. You got him lingering of maybe he's back again for next year.
I'd be shocked if he was back. Wouldn't you guys?
He's got a contract. If he's not suspended by the league.
I mean, they're going to pay him one way or the other. The question is, they're going to pay him to go away, or they're going to pay him to be on the team.
Right.
I think it's a matter of Gabe Kapler's back. I mean, when the manager runs a whole nonprofit organization, a charity organization for the cause that he's directly associated with, I don't know how that adds up for him.
Yeah, he's suspended 85 games for violating MLB's domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. So that happened back on July the 5th. So he is suspended 85 games, which means once he serves his suspension, I mean, I guess I wouldn't bring him back if you're asking me, but he does have a contract that is for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more years.
Yeah. I mean, so how do they do that? How do they handle it? You can't buy out a contract, right?
They have a $11.5 million club option in 22 that they could buy him out. Then I guess. I mean, they're not paying him a whole heck of a lot of money. I mean, $5 million this year, $7 million next year, and $10 million the year after that. I mean, we say not a whole heck of a lot of money in baseball terms, but I don't know. I mean, so that's why Dickerson. If the Phillies say we're going to pay you, let's say that he wanted $20 million a year, and the Phillies gave him $20 million a year, but another team offered him $18 million a year, but said you're going to play every day. The Phillies can't offer him the opportunity to play every day, I don't think.
Not only can they not offer him the opportunity to play every day, we're talking about a guy that, although his numbers were great and he has given him a nice boost and he's been a nice story, the problem with the Phillies is not Corey Dickerson and what his production is. The problem is they need to go find pitching. They have to find some quality pitching somewhere, and they're not going to do that if they pay Corey Dickerson.
All right.
So, yeah, I was all in on Corey Dickerson when his numbers were good and thinking this guy's been the one thing that Clintack's gotten right. They have to re-sign him. And now I'm completely 180 in the other direction, and I'm saying, Corey, thanks for everything you did. Hope your foot heals well. Go get a job somewhere else. We need a pitcher.
So we asked last week, would you rather the Phillies – now this isn't going to happen now. The Phillies are pretty much done, but they were 2 back. Would you rather have made them make the playoffs, that one-game playoff, but Clintack and Kapler are guaranteed to return, or actually would you prefer they miss and there's a chance that Kapler and Clintack are gone?
See, I don't think they're going anywhere, so I have a hard time envisioning a scenario. Even if they missed, I don't think they're going anywhere. I really don't
play
think
along, PT.
Play along. What I preferred, all right, so let me envision. If they miss the playoffs and there's a chance, all right, I'll take that. You know why? Because it's good for Sports Talk Radio, and I host the Pete Thompson Show on Saturday, and I like to have things to talk about.
So you rather have them get rid of him?
I'm not the biggest Gabe Kapler fan, that's for sure. And you know what? Like I said, Clintack is missed. He very much overvalued what he thought he was going to get out of the starting rotation. I mean, that to me is the biggest mistake that they made anywhere. Up and down the lineup, you can't plan for McCutchen getting hurt. You can't plan for things like that. But the biggest thing the biggest mistake they made was they looked at their starting rotation and said, yeah, we're okay with Aaron Nola and Jake Arrieta. And even Jake getting hurt. You can't plan for that, but you really had like 1.5 as far as quality starters go. And then that became 1. And that's pathetic.
PT watched Flyers last night?
I did watch the Flyers last night. I'm happy that Travis Konechny is now in the fold, and although that knocks Joel Farabee back a peg, but he's still, his time will come. Look, they didn't win, but they looked good. It was fun to see hockey. They play again tonight. I'll be watching them again tonight. See a couple of the boys out there, see what Alain Vigneault's system's like. Read a good article today about Stewart, the guy that's trying to make the roster from basically Nowheresville.
Yeah. Where'd you read that article?
What's that? You read it too?
No, where did you read that article? Never mind.
I read it on the Athletic.
I don't want you to answer that.
Why? Well, why not?
I read it on the Athletic. I thought he was going to say, I read it on the...
Yeah.
On the you thought I was going to say I read it on the can. No. I do a lot of my reading. My prep period is 4th period at school.
Gotcha.
Plus, what I should have said was Kevin Durso told me about a great article he read after I got done reading him on 97.3 ESPN. Then I read this article.
Okay.
There you go.
Any thought on Eli Manning getting benched?
I'm not surprised. I mean, they're 0-2. They have to do something. If there's ever a time to throw in the kid, throw him in now. I don't. It doesn't shock me at all, and I heard you guys talk about it. I know the Giants fans will say that Eli's a Hall of Famer. And
we've actually had some reasonable ones today that have said that they didn't think he was.
It was shocking.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I think he's played well in certain moments, or he's been in the right place at the right time. But, Gill, I feel like the first year we did radio in 2009, so we're talking 10 years ago, you and I had a topic of, is Eli an elite quarterback? And I'm sorry, I don't see him as an elite quarterback.
Nope.
Did he win Super Bowl championships? Yes. But when you sit there and go, God, that guy was an unbelievable quarterback, I do not put Eli in that class.
The Pete Thompson Show this Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Peter, we'll see you at the Vagabike next year.
Yep, me and Ryan are already booked. You heard it on the radio, so it must be true.
Bike tires are pumped.
All right, man. Take care.
See you.